conference for women, and then following there will be a gathering of men and women all wanting to rise up in leadership. And so, Julia, what really stirs you about this conference in particular?
I love the idea of women together being boss babes together. There's something empowering about connection, but also being around people that give you energy, that fill your battery cell. And I am so looking forward to Sunday and next week to refill my battery with some amazing, high achieving women.
Yes, yes. It was astonishing. Number of times that I've gone to these Go Abundance events, I am always refreshed by women just in action, taking care of things, direct conversations that are just clear and meaningful, and you just feel like you can get so much from one day, right? So I
Almost
love that.
too much sometimes, right?
So, in light of that, one of the things that you're very passionate about is generational wealth and that transference continuing throughout the generations. And one of the things that you had mentioned is 70% of people are concerned about their children having entitlement. Yes?
Absolutely. Yes.
And so, one of the things I think we all need to check on, because we are in a fairly privileged generation, which I love, bring it, right? Like, I love the access and the opportunities that we have in our generation. What do you think is contributes to entitlement and can get under, or, how are ways we can get underneath of it?
Well, there are three things that really are causing this loss of wealth, and one of them is no skills. The other one
Mm,
is no expectations.
mm,
And then the third one, no ownership. And entitlement really comes down to that no ownership part and no expectations. So you might know how to do money, right? We don't need to teach our teens how to spend. They learn how to do that. What maybe we aren't teaching them that we need to is what's expected, whether you're part of the family or whether you are independent and a young adult or you're still at home. What are you expected to contribute? What are you expected to pay for? And then the ownership. How often have we given our kids money and said, here, go spend it, and you never see it again? But if you
mm.
ask them the same question, go spend it, but use your own money, the ownership, the transference of that ownership is really that missing piece. And what I've experienced in the families I work with, and I'm a cusper, so I'm kind of half millennial, I sometimes lean Gen X. I wanted my kids to have it better than I did. And so I've kind of created this monster, right, by enabling them. And so now I've had to figure out how to kind of rewrite that story so we're empowering them and not just making everything easy for them. Because that's how we learn, right? Is through hard,
Mm.
daring to
Yeah.
rise through adversity, technical challenges, all the things that can happen. We need to teach them how to be resilient. And that is the opposite, really, of being entitled.
I really like how you talked about we wanted our kids to have something better. And what we do is we assume better means that they don't have to have expectations and they don't have to take as much responsibility. Life gets easier for them. We think easier is better. And I even think as women, sometimes we go, well, we're women, like we don't have to have as much ownership or expectation. And actually, that is costing us when we embrace ownership of our own lives, of our businesses, of ourselves, when we take ownership of our own humanity and failings, we actually, that is better than it just being easy or our husband making it happen for us or our community making it happen for us. And to kind of go, well, what would you like? Don't put expectations on me. Don't put demands on me. Actually, that isn't better. It's very useful to have people expect of us something even more than we are. It pulls us up, it dares us to rise to fresh expectation. And so I think one of the things that's really important for all of us, even, parents and women, is like, where might I be slipping into some entitlement? And where could that, I assume that be better for me, but it's actually costing me, right? Where might you see women find themselves get caught, maybe even subconsciously, in a bit of entitlement, Julia?
I think for us as women, sometimes it's hiding behind a title, hiding behind credentials, and vulnerably, that's where I spent the first half of my professional life. Was a doctor of pharmacy, I got an MBA, I was in an executive leadership role, and to me, I almost felt like well, I deserve this lifestyle because I have worked hard in school and I have done it this way. And yet that entitlement came with a cost of I'm missing some of that fulfillment. I'm missing some of that authenticity that we're going to talk about. And so for me personally, I had to remind myself, and I even created a tool that helps other people do the same thing is when you can buy anything, what do you buy? More importantly, why do you buy it? Is it for fulfillment of somebody else? Is it for because I think I deserve this? Or is the posture of, well, I want to create something bigger than me? Or I want to create memories that are more important to me than maybe the things or the material things. And so, really holding yourself to a standard of why am I making this decision? Specifically around money, but it can be with anything you spend, like your time or your attention. Kind of like, well, I'm entitled to have this, that, and the other in this particular way. Well, we know life's not fair. We tell our kids life isn't fair. And we also know that through adversity is how we can accomplish all these things. And the only thing that you're really entitled to is paying taxes and dying, right? Aren't those the two things they say you have to do?
They're
So,
coming. Those
yeah.
are coming.
And you're
So,
obligated to know how to navigate money. You don't have to do it
yeah.
well, but you have to know. And I think Morgan Housel on a recent podcast with the Diary of a CEO talked about the two things you have to know about is your health and your money.
Mm. So, Julie, what I hear that stands out to me is one, we can sometimes get entitled because we take ownership outside of ourselves. Authority comes from somewhere else. It comes from a title, it comes from a position, it comes from an organization, versus there's a authentic authority that we develop from within. We rise up, right? That's distinct, and we can honor those positions, and we can understand why organizations do that. But we lose a little bit of that fulfillment and that real awareness of ourselves when we're not taking ownership and owning our own authority. And then the other thing I heard was around spending. Can we spend in a way that connects us with ourselves, our souls? Right? And starting to understand and be authentic around our relationship with money. That we could open up our checkbooks or open up our accounting and somebody really make sense of us and see the authenticity of who we are, what we're owning, what expectations we're fulfilling, what we're investing in when they take a look at our spending. And like you said, it really challenges kids too when they have to own those decisions on what they spend on.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
a great question is, how do you feel about money? And
Hmm.
sometimes people are bury their head in the sand and avoid it. Sometimes it's a very visceral negative reaction based on the environment maybe they grew up in or what they didn't have. And very rarely is you're just like, it's like the weather. It comes, it goes. It's this open-handed like
We have
detachment
narratives.
of
Yeah.
awareness. You have to use it, but you don't have to be attached to it. And when we
Well,
can
Julia, I
slow
need to
down.
run today, but I will see you soon in Austin, Texas. It'll get started at 11 on May 4th. We'll actually have a preemptive female embodiment beforehand, which will really help activate all of this truth and awareness and authenticity in our bodies. And then we'll be able to hear from these great engagements and panels of women. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks for having me here today, Julia. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye for now.